Inglés.fm, Real English Conversations, Series 1. Podcast 4, The Internet. Internet. Este podcast contiene una conversación real y sin guión entre dos hablantes nativos de inglés, Mark y Tom. Oirás primero la conversación y a continuación una clase de inglés con explicaciones en español. Cada podcast viene con un workbook detallado que puedes descargar desde nuestra página web, inglés.fm. Incluye una transcripción completa de la conversación, listas de vocabulario, notas culturales y la clase. Recuerda que los miembros de nuestra lista de distribución reciben gratis transcripciones extra de nuestros podcasts, además de muchas otras cosas gratis. Así que no olvides apuntarte al consultar la página. ¡Buena suerte!
Hi, my name's Tom, and I'm sitting here with Mark. Hi, Mark.
Hi, Tom.
Today, we're talking to you from Turo Park in Barcelona, and it's quite a beautiful spot, isn't it?
Yes, it's recognised as it's called a natural green space.
And we're by a gigantic pond covered in lilies, so feeling quite relaxed and happy. And today we're going to talk all about the internet. Now, we know quite a lot about the internet between us, don't we?
Yes, we do.
What kind of experiences have you had with the internet? When did you start using it, and in what ways have you used it?
I probably started in about 1997 when I started work after university and actually had access to the internet. And I was one of the early users among my friends of Hotmail. I booked flights through EasyJet not long after the company started, and books from Amazon.
Yeah, I've been buying online for years and years, and in 1998 I started building websites. I programmed for several years. I was a web developer in London on the London Stock Exchange's website for a few years, and I've worked as a freelance web designer and web developer for years, and I've been a blogger. I've got my own blog, and for the last few years I've been getting more into podcasting and audio online.
So following the progression of the internet every step.
Exactly. So firstly I want to talk a bit about the definitions and the difference between the internet and the World Wide Web.
Is there a difference?
Yeah, well, lots of people use both terms interchangeably. So they will say I'm going on the internet or I'm going on the web, but actually they're slightly different. Now, the internet is the actual physical network of computers, so the sort of hardware, the infrastructure.
Okay.
And the World Wide Web is the system of interlinked HTML or hypertext documents, so the actual websites that are sent around on the internet.
So they are actually quite different.
Yeah, well, the web is part of the internet, basically. It's one of the services that is communicated through the internet. Now, do you know where it came from? Who invented the internet? Who invented the network?
I have a bit of a connection here.
No, that's the web. You see, you've got them confused. The internet was invented in America by the US Department of Defense in the 60s, and it was people say it was perhaps a military strategy, or it was to create a network that would withstand a nuclear attack. And it was originally called ARPANET, and it was developed, I think it went online in 1969, and the first email was then invented in 1971. And the World Wide Web, what's your connection with the inventor of the World Wide Web?
I went to the same school as him. The inventor was
Tim Berners-Lee.
Tim Berners-Lee. But he left my school the year I was born, so unfortunately I never got to meet him. But that's the connection. I went to the same school as the inventor of the World Wide Web.
Fantastic claim to fame. And he studied physics at Oxford University, where I'm from in England, so I also have a vague connection. Anyway, the first website was published on Christmas Day in 1990, so 20 years ago. And do you know where it was? Where it was invented?
No idea.
In what country?
England?
Switzerland.
Really?
at an organisation called CERN, which is the European Organisation for Nuclear Research, which is actually a sort of physics, particle physics research unit set up and funded by 11 European governments. So the Americans invented the internet and the British invented the World Wide Web with the help of lots of other Europeans. So, what do you think are some of the busiest websites in the world now? I was looking some statistics up on the internet. What would you think is the busiest website in the world?
I'd say Google.
And you would be correct.
Because now, rather than saying I'm going to look for something, Google has become a verb. I'm going to Google my search.
It's actually entered the English dictionary as an official word, hasn't it? As a verb, to Google, and a noun, Google. So Google's number one. Any ideas about any of the other big websites?
Probably Microsoft, something like Hotmail.
Yeah, number two is the MSN Microsoft suite of sites.
And over the last couple of years, and the amount of people talking about it, is Facebook on the list.
Facebook's number 5. We've got Yahoo at 3, Microsoft 4, YouTube 6, Wikipedia, AOL, which nobody uses outside of America, I think, and eBay and Apple at number 10.
So that's the top 10 most popular sites in the world.
Exactly. So now I want to have a chat about general internet usage statistics around the world. Now, which continent do you think is the most connected? Which area?
Probably I'd have to say North America.
And that's right again. And North America has about 76% of the population online. And which do you think is the least connected area in the world?
Africa?
Yep, right again. It's not too hard to guess that one. And Africa has only 8.7% connected. But the interesting thing with these figures are that Africa has had a huge growth rate in the last 10 years of 1,800%.
My God, that's huge.
Yeah, it's phenomenal growth, and North America has had the smallest growth with 140%. So obviously they're nearly all connected in America now. And in terms of the whole world population, what percentage or proportion do you think uses the internet approximately, or how many people?
Well, if we take the world population to be 6 billion, I'd guess at 50%.
It's 1.7 billion, so it's a bit less than that. Is that about 25%? Or?
Yeah, 25, 30.
Yeah, okay, of the entire world. But the conclusion is that developing countries are rapidly catching up. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But first we want to look a little bit more at Spain and the UK. Now, there's quite an interesting difference between Spain and the UK in terms of the internet users. There are 29 million internet users in Spain and 51 million internet users in the UK. So that's 83% of the population in the UK and 62% of the population in Spain. And there's quite a huge difference between one particular aspect, and that is online shopping. Now, what do you think is the difference?
I'd say it's quite huge, because I'm accustomed to shopping online regularly, but very, very few Spanish friends of mine have ever bought anything online.
Yeah, in the UK, 98% of people have at some point shopped online, which is higher than America, North America, which is only 95%. And the UK spends most time online in Europe, and 50% of people in the UK regularly buy things on the internet now.
I can understand that, because even my parents, who are retired, regularly buy things, have things delivered to home.
And if you had to guess, in Spain, how many people, what percentage of people do you think shop online regularly?
I would say it's very low. 15?
It's lower even, it's 10%. And we've been talking about reasons for this, and what do you think some of the main reasons are? There's one key reason.
I think that maybe people like their first internet purchase to be a real thing, a tangible thing. So for example, my first purchase was a book from Amazon. So I received something physical that I could hold. And in Spain there is no Amazon.
Yeah, you just hit the nail on the head, as we say in English. Basically, books make up 41% of all online purchases, and Amazon, for various reasons, has never opened in Spain. And everybody in England, well, the vast majority of people, their first internet shopping experience is usually buying books from Amazon. So we feel that's the main reason, and there's another couple of reasons, one being the postal service in Spain isn't quite as reliable. I've been reading various reasons online, and that's one of them, and the other one is that the pricing of books in Spain doesn't fit in with Amazon's business model. Anyway, to finish off, what are some of our predictions for the future with the internet? How's the internet going to shape our lives and change things going forward?
I think it could be, given how much it's changed in the past 10 years, going forward, difficult to conceive, but I imagine that maybe all education will be online, similar to the distance telephone classes in Australia for outback families. There will be a virtual teacher or one teacher in a room with a virtual classroom full of international students.
Yeah, I believe education. I'm totally in agreement. I think education is the big growth area online, and teaching. People now have access all around the world to the same kind of information for reasonable prices, and particularly in developing countries, it's going to produce greater equality with their access to education. And things like self-publishing and blogging, it gives people access, it gives people a platform to publish. Anybody can set up a website, publish their thoughts, their writing, their pictures. It gives everybody access to a market. And of course the social networks that we're going to talk about in another podcast, like Facebook. I think that they're going to get even bigger and become even more part of our lives.
Because, for example, Facebook in Spain is an obsession with everyone now.
But it wasn't 2 years ago.
A year ago, 2 years ago, no one really knew what it was. So I've witnessed it grow exponentially here in 2 years. So what will happen in the future is difficult to imagine, but it can only grow.
Cool. Thanks very much for joining us. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Hola, me llamo Rosario y en la clase de inglés de hoy vamos a centrarnos en un verbo compuesto o phrasal verb que se usa mucho en inglés. Get into. Este verbo tiene 3 usos principales. Primero, para hablar de entrar en algo o en algún sitio físicamente. Por ejemplo,
I couldn't get into my clothes after Christmas because I ate too much turkey. I couldn't get into the club because it was full.
En segundo lugar, se usa para decir que te han escogido o elegido para algo, como por ejemplo,
I want to get into university to study particle physics. The politician wants to get into power at the next election.
Y en tercer lugar, se usa get into de una manera mucho más coloquial, para decir que nos hemos empezado a interesar por algo o que nos hemos involucrado en algo. Por ejemplo, en la conversación, Tom dijo,
For the last few years I've been getting more into podcasting and audio online.
Y otro ejemplo, I'm really getting into my dance classes again. Finalmente, hay otra expresión coloquial parecida que es muy común y que oiréis decir a muchos hablantes nativos todo el tiempo. To be into something o to be into somebody. Aquí tenéis algunos ejemplos de to be into something, que significa que algo nos gusta.
I'm into reading books about Spain. I'm really into traveling.
Y en negativo, a menudo diremos, por ejemplo,
I'm not into loud music. I'm not really into my job.
To be into somebody significa que nos gusta a alguien, o más a menudo que alguien nos atrae físicamente. Algunos ejemplos son,
Carlos is really into his new secretary.
My sister's really into Brad Pitt.
We hope you're into these expressions and are gonna get into using them every time you speak English.
Gracias por acompañarnos con este podcast de Inglés.fm. Recuerda que el workbook contiene una transcripción completa de la conversación, listas de vocabulario, notas culturales y la clase. lo puedes descargar de forma instantánea desde ingles.fm. ¡Nos vemos!